Board games, board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing. And over here to this side of me is the person known as Danny. Danny has made many games for the deck. This could be something that you could tick or check. Danny has done quite a bit of invention. We're going to talk a little bit about Danny's life situation, but more about invention. Board games,
Right.
board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hey, good morning. Well, yeah, it's definitely the morning for you.
Right. Yeah, it is morning.
And hello, Xate. It is lovely to see you. And I am Bez. It is bedtime in some countries. We are blethering about board games. And today we are going to be talking about inventing games with Danny Goodisman. Now, am I pronouncing your name Goodisman correctly?
You are. It's just complicated enough to throw off salespeople who call like the name flashes up on the screen and they can't deal with it.
It's like, oh my God, what's going on? Something like in a strange juxtaposition of letters.
Right. Yeah.
And hello, Alan. It is lovely to see you as well. And this is flashing up at the bottom. You've invented over 100 board games. So
Yeah.
this is kind of more of a getting to know you chat. What do you even mean by that? Like, you've invented over 100. Is that like you've taken them to prototype stage and presumably a lot of them maybe didn't work, or?
Yes. Both of those are absolutely correct. By the time I get together a prototype and trouble my family or my roommate, or when I was married I would play games with my wife. That's what I count as a game, as a different game. The 100 is enough so that I don't count it as a different title when my game is translated to a different language, for example.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, why exactly the same game? I mean, although we've been having some discussions about how legally, none of these mechanisms are, copyrightable or anything. And
right. So my game Green Skull is the rules are translated into Japanese. On the website you can get Japanese versions of the rules, which are kind of cool. But I think they're exactly the same as the English rules. It's just in Japanese. Now the German rules of Carcassonne are slightly different than the English rules of Carcassonne. That's not a word-for-word translation. It's possible that in the United Kingdom they have the exact translation of the German, but the Carcassonne in the United States, the scoring is done a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, but we're not here just to talk about translation and
right.
I mean, we are all about invention. And hello, Alex, and hello, Jess. It's lovely to see you. And we've got some fans, well, at least one fan of Carcassonne. I'm a big fan of Carcassonne. Congratulations, Jess. And so we are here to talk about invention, and hello, Huron, and Chris, it's lovely to have you join us. And so, because without invention of games, there would be no games, so it's quite a valuable thing. We're going to be talking about how do these things happen, about your personal method of designing these games, about your play group, and how you're really missing them. And we're going to be talking about desire for a game to be successful. But before we get into all of that, let's start off with something completely different, which is brilliant things, brilliant things. Here's a little thing which is brilliant. Now, I'm going to talk about something that you can see behind me, and you can see behind Danny. I want to talk about walls.
Oh.
Yeah, I just think that walls are pretty darn brilliant because, I mean, you need to have a roof to keep you shielded from the elements and the wind and the rain and stuff. And, you know, the roof wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the walls. Even if you had, like, big pillars. I know there's some structures that just have pillars and then they've got a roof, but it doesn't really protect you from the wind. And even the rain might be coming at a big angle. So I just think walls are pretty brilliant. Do you have anything else to say about walls, Danny?
No, I would add that with the air being extremely bad right now, I'm very glad to have walls. And also it does get fairly cold actually. With a lot of soot in the air, it's considerably warmer inside than outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of terrible stuff happening right now, and I mean, yeah, we are obviously, as we're recording this, we're in the middle. I mean, it doesn't mean we're smack bang in the middle. For all we know, it could carry on for another 4 months. It could carry on for another 3 years, but we're not at the start. We're not at the end. Anyway, oh man.
Yes.
Chris says, I prefer the days before walls, all these newfangled technologies. Yeah, without walls, where would you hang paintings? And yeah.
When I was little, actually, my parents had a vacation cabin that didn't have walls. It was just poles, like you said, to support the roof. And then there was kind of walls made out of mosquito netting, so that you could go inside and not rub the right insects as much. But it was very small. It was very, very rustic. I mean, and yeah, we didn't have any wall hangings at all.
So it's getting a bit hot here. It's nice. The sun's starting to shine through the window and heat up this room, which is good. But, yeah, we've got some kinds of people who are anti-wall, it seems. What would you do? No doors, no borders, hanging walls on trees. And yeah, oh, thank you, Jess. And but it's not just about walls. We do have other brilliant things in our life. So let's go to recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and seeing the sights. Recent highlights. So I invite you to talk about, and everyone in the chat to share some recent highlights that they have had. Would you like to go first, Danny?
So I've been developing cell sheets for a lot of my games, and I've been working on I've been doing a lot of work in Photoshop, which is graphic software.
So, did you say you were learning Photoshop?
No, I'm just using Photoshop. I'm not learning much about it. But I'm just using the program to do these documents.
Oh yeah, it's all about those cell sheets. Are you parts of that the thing that Senfung Glim and Chris and Jay Cormier are doing?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, what's it called again? That's something that I should tell everyone about.
It's called Pitch Project, and there are 2 Facebook groups for the Pitch Project. There's a Facebook group for the main event itself, and then there's a Facebook group where you can you can put up your drafts, especially if everyone like post holes in it, which is very useful because the getting feedback is very, very helpful. Yeah. Exactly. So the
sorry, I've signed up to this as well. I've sent in a couple of sell sheets. If you're a designer, I would suggest that you check that out. allbutpublish.com, and they are going to work out the top 50 things to then show to some publishers, some of which are fairly major players like Hasbro. So that's going to be really exciting.
Right. So so there are I've developed over 100 games, like I said, but there are 7 that I may enter in that contest. So of the 190 odd are is not good enough to but that's how creativity works.
Yeah, it's really all about the community and people setting up things for each other. It's super awesome what Senfung Glim is doing. So massive respect to Senfung Glim. And also,
definitely.
I like what Jeroen is saying. I do like to see the bricks, but a bit of plastering does keep the insulation in. Chris is excited that it's Friday. Jess is going to see Go Girls tonight with the queer women's football team. That sounds exciting. And Jeroen played yesterday a test version of an upcoming Kickstarter game in Fabulous Vegas, or I think Vegas is the name of the game, and Rowan's just saying that it's fabulous. Very interesting game. I think it will come to Kickstarter in January. So that was a recent highlight for Jeroen. And I'm going to share some photos because I remember to upload a bunch of photos today, although I uploaded about 20% of my photos because, apparently these long... So here are some really pretty flowers that I've seen around here in the past couple of days. I just want to share that. And then here's some skies. I mean, and it's just amazing things to see, like the majesty of the world. And then cows, I mean, beautiful creatures, even though they represent something that is actually incredibly problematic in today's society. And more flowers and greenery. I mean, I just love seeing like the shapes and the textures and everything going on here. And in the background, those are some giant leaves that are literally bigger than my torso. I'm not exaggerating. And then you've got old walls which are covered in moss, and it's like an entirely different world going on. This is like all the recent highlights for me. And yeah, I have been playing a little bit more Bidel. That was 2 days ago. Yeah, I played Bidel 2 days ago, where those are the scores. And we played Bidel 3 times. And then I played Tripel yesterday with my dad a couple of times, which, yeah, we quite enjoyed. And then I was pondering about the nature of lock-in games. And yeah, moss is beautiful indeed. And Alan Alton's got another extra highlight, which is that the shower is now leak-free. Congratulations, Alan. That sounds like a pretty awesome thing. Oh. And yeah, a wall appreciation walk. Let's do that sometime for sure. When I head over to Thailand, if you're still there. But let's get, if you're ready, to the questionably quick questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, yeah. Definitely.
Okay, so this is where we get to know our guest a little bit more. And I'm going to rapid fire ask a whole bunch of questions. And everyone in the chat is invited to throw in some silly questions alongside, just so we get to know you from some silly angles. So start off. Where exactly are you and what time is it?
Northwestern United States, it's about 2:15 a.m.
Okay. Have you seen the new Santorini, New York? I have not. Have you seen this one?
I have not.
Ah, sorry, that's not much of a conversation starter. But Santorini is a good game.
Yes.
What time did you wake up, Danny?
So I set my alarm for 1:30 a.m. So I've been up for 45 minutes, and like I mentioned to Bez, that after this conversation, I'll go back to bed.
I'm really grateful for you making the effort to be up. That's dedication. Thank you very much. What time do you think you'll normally get up?
So ordinarily I get up about 7 a.m. I don't have any idea what's gonna happen tonight because it's odd. So I went to bed at 6:30 p.m., which is 3 hours before I normally do. Or I sort of commenced laying in bed at 6:30 p.m. I didn't fall asleep immediately, you know.
And you've got a lot of respect from the chat for actually making the effort. So thanks again. Let me ask you, what was the last thing you ate?
My roommate loves to cook and loves to cook unusual things. So he had a dish called chicken paprikash, which is a sort of a rice, a spicy rice with chicken and lots of paprika and various other spices.
I'm liking all of these words.
So it's very much a blessing that he is willing to make all these things.
That sounds pretty immense. Let me ask, what was the last game you played?
I've been playing a little bit of the Fun as Hell, actually. Including my roommate and I actually managed a tie, and the rules, as stated, don't have a tiebreaker. So we had to sort of invent a tiebreaker for the game. So I wanted to add that actually to my submission. There's a little bit of room in the rules for the game to add a tiebreaker, and there should be one. Like I said, because my roommate and I did tie. We both had our winning medals were 7. Were each 7, and then he had a second one that was 6, and my second one was 5. So that, but what we did and what the rules should say is that you break ties by just going to the second best and going, if necessary, going to the third best, and so on.
Yeah, with a tiebreaker, you really want them to be something that makes intellectual sense and kind of feels cohesive with the rest of the game. Right. That's a really good point.
Yeah, exactly. So we it's consistent with the rest with the way that the rest of the game works, that you do it that way.
And just to say, Suzanne, firstly, thank you for joining the show, Suzanne. I see your question. I'm going to address that in about 2 minutes once we get to the main meat of the show, if that makes sense. I hope that's okay. For about 2 more minutes, we're just plowing all the silly questions at Danny. Like, I'm going to ask, while you were playing that game, were you drinking or eating anything?
We were sitting at the table, but we had just eaten. So the usual pattern is that we eat before we play games, so that we don't get food on. We play a lot of Pandemic.
The game.
So I've been so people have said that they don't want to think about the pandemic at all, but the game has nice rules. So I play that. I've played that a lot recently.
Nice. What would you tend to eat or drink the most whilst playing a game?
Beef jerky is a good filling snack, and it's not that messy. So so that's a good thing to have during the game. But like I said, we usually eat right before we play games.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Keep the mess away, potentially.
Right, yeah.
Have a bit of a chat, take your time over a meal, and then start playing.
Right, exactly.
Jeroen asks, do you like board games or card games? And I think Jeroen's basically making this distinction of card games don't have a central board, board games do have a central board. But if you make that distinction, which do you prefer?
In general, I like the smaller games that are very easy to just pull off the shelf and play. Do you know the one that connects to a game, Lost Cities?
Yeah, of course. That's amazing. Great game.
So I play that quite a bit. Pandemic obviously has a board, but you have to get the setup for that is a little bit more involved.
Now, let's finish off the questionably quick questions. And to finish us off, I would like you to tell us, in as much or as little detail as you would like to share, what is a typical day in the life of you recently?
So, as of late, I'm looking for a job, and so so I've been sending out a lot of resumes. Recently I've been working on my sales sheets, like I said. So I make lots of changes with that. I open up the computer and make lots of changes.
Well, thank you very much for sharing. And at this point, we're going to get into the main topic. And I invite everyone to comment, ask questions, thumb like, and follow. So we've got one question from Suzanne Gray. Hello, Suzanne Gray, and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Who wants to ask about Green Skull? And they want to say, is it made to order, or are there a few hundred in storage? Do you know about the printing process?
It's made to order. Most copies it's made to order. The next to my ankle, I do have a couple copies. Because frankly, shipping from Spain is, it costs like 20 euros to ship from Spain for the order, ship the order. So it's better if you order a whole bunch of games. So I've got a whole bunch of games that I've ordered to give to my U.S. friends. But if you would order from elsewhere, and Nestor would make you a copy, from scratch. I don't think that he keeps many copies on hand.
Now, let's get to the second part of the question, which is, how exactly did you pitch this game to Nestor's game? And so let's start off with a quick 1 minute overview, if you can do a really quick pitch of what Green Skull is all about for those who don't know it.
So Green Skull, I definitely am. As cell sheets were very important for my first contact with Nestor was with his publisher was sending a cell sheet over, and this is what Sen is doing is very familiar with me, because that's in my experience, that's like the way that you make first contact with publishers is with a sell sheet. I've never had much luck dealing with going to conventions and meeting people at conventions. I should disclose also that I'm disabled. I use an electric wheelchair all the time, makes traveling very difficult. And so
to be tricky.
So for me to go to gaming conventions, especially if I had to travel. So if I had to go to Spiel or go to Origins or whatever, that would be an extraordinary effort for me just to get there. So in a sense, the pandemic is good because nobody can travel at all.
Yeah, I've had something similar being said by Layla, which was that before they didn't have any money to go out and party, but no, now other people don't have the money to go out and party either. So at least people are engaging with them a bit more.
Right.
And there's definitely some opportunities. Like, I think that this pitch project and a lot of the digital conventions and stuff, I think it'll be good if these things can sort of continue, even after we are, fingers crossed, allowed to get together, 20,000 people to all hug each other once again.
So there's, I heard yesterday that the German company Pfizer thinks that they might have a vaccine in November, and the University of Oxford still is hoping that they have theirs in December.
Yeah.
So that will be exciting.
So, talking about conventions, Alan wanted to ask you if you've been to many virtual conventions, and how was that experience?
I have not. I've had more trouble being able to. So my experience is like Tabletop Simulator, Discord, and so on. Those don't work all that well for gaming. So I've mostly been playing games with my roommate. On Sunday I'm meeting some people at a restaurant. There's a restaurant near here that has outdoor seating, so it's a little bit safer. We had planned on going last Sunday, but the air was too bad. But recently it's rained, so the air is a little bit better.
Echoing what you said before, Chris is saying that the lockdown has greatly helped people, the ability to work from home, attend conferences and expos that wouldn't be possible normally. There are hidden positives to this darn annoying year. But even though you say that you've not quite managed it, it's really cool that you've got a roommate who's also into board gaming. And conversely, Jeroen, apparently from other reasons, doesn't go to cons in real life. I should say physical cons, because, online, it is still real life. I mean, I am speaking to you in real
Right.
life. It's
Yeah.
just that I'm not with you physically.
Right.
But
In fact,
your
technology is flabbergasting. If you think about the distance between us, that's amazing.
Yeah, and this is like a really weird thing to kind of admit. Rowan says they try to avoid as many people as possible. I assume this is just in general, not just this year. Rowan finds the digital cons very energy consuming, and Xate says that they feel bad. I assume there's like a bit of guilt there because about how much better this year has been for Xate personally than the last few. And I don't think you need to feel bad, Derek said, because you know you've had good things going on in your life. We have Suzanne asking a question whether you've had your games copied by someone, only changing the appearance. I don't know if Suzanne knows you, if this thing has actually happened.
I don't know. I don't think that's happened to me. So a couple years back, I was alerted that a coincidence happened. So a game that had occurred to me, I designed the game, and a fellow in Boston designed the exact same game and published it. And so my game is basically worthless because it looks like a copy, but it's not. It was just a coincidence. I didn't look at his game, and he didn't look at mine. But but I have not had the misfortune of being copied.
Yeah, and fingers crossed that that continues. I mean,
right. It's I don't. It's not the man I envy, but you know it does happen.
I mean, to be fair, lots of the copies are done once a game has already sold, you know, hundreds of thousands of copies. I know that there are copies of Roots and you know, Pandemic, obviously, and all sorts of things, especially coming out of China, but even Wits and Wagers, you know, in digital form. And so it is definitely something to ponder. And that's something that I will be chatting on Monday about with Mark of Tabletopia. And yeah, Owen explains that. So let's get to the things that we were going to chat mainly about. So let's start off by chatting about your general method of inventing interesting games. So what's your approach when you start off?
So so my first approach is so I get an idea for a game, and my first approach is always to start writing down the rules. And then as I write down the rules, I you know say the game needs cards or the game needs a board or whatever. Then I make those up all on my computer, and then I don't have a working printer right now, so I have to go to the coffee shop to get the printouts, which means that I have to sort of have the game more or less in a good prototype phase before I can test it with anybody. So once I have that, then I show it to my roommate. My roommate, like I said, likes games, and he's very patient with. Obviously, the alpha version isn't necessarily all that good.
And yeah, you have to be willing for sure to play games and be like, okay, yes, even if it's not the best game, we are going to play it, and I'm still going to give you feedback. So that's
right, exactly, yeah, exactly. So then we, you know, go back and forth with, you know, revisions, new versions, and whatever.
And then presumably once you found that something works, once you found that, okay, you and your roommates are enjoying it, is this when you would traditionally reach out for other people? I mean, obviously right now you can't, but you talked about your games group.
Yes. So well, actually I can reach out to other people physically, but since I've got it digitally anyway, I can email copies. I can generate files and email copies to friends that have blind playtests, and so I've kind of been doing that. Today I was just told that my game done caller. There's a game Mon Caller, and I decided to invent a game called Don Caller.
Okay.
And I was just told that that name is already in use. So I wouldn't want to use that name. I discovered earlier that there's a Spanish company by that name as well. That could, I don't want to mess with a company that can make my life miserable without much effort. So I might want to rename that game anyway.
Why would you have a name that could be confused? It's like just terrible branding for you. It's potentially going to confuse people who are looking for one or of the two games. And so, yeah, It's just a bad decision for so many reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, just to check, on BGG, you have lots of pictures, but they are not set to copying being allowed, but I'm assuming that for purposes of this show, you're happy for me to show all your pictures.
Definitely. And
okay, cool. I'm just
I have a copy of the game itself. I have a copy on my desk as well. So I would be happy to show that also.
So just to talk about your previous game that you went through the Game Crafter with, you've got a game called Soaps, where soap opera writers get their ideas. And yeah, how was that? At what stage do you decide, okay, my game is ready for putting up on Game Crafter? Because that's kind of a weird middle ground where it's not quite self-publishing. You're not producing like thousands of copies and you're not pitching it to someone. So what goes into that kind of decision?
So that when I first I don't remember exactly how. Basically, the game crafter, like you said, you're not exactly publishing it, so that you can still make lots of modifications. So that video game Soaps is my favorite of my games that I've invented, and before the pandemic, I sent copies to a number of U.S. publishers to look at that game. Everything is sort of on a weird kind of hold right now. So I just have to be patient. They'll get to it whenever they get to it. I hired an artist to do those illustrations. So the game is kind of cartoony and silly, like
And yeah, this game, because it's all about soap operas and extramarital affairs and stuff, did you ever have any concerns about this particular theme?
So that game is pretty strongly themed, and the so Coma doesn't really like it doesn't really make sense for it to go to any other theme. That particular game couldn't be saying it's spaceships or whatever. You'd have to make huge modifications for it to make sense. Unlike Green the Skull, which could be about anything, and it's really an abstract game.
So, when you're working on a game, how do you know that, okay, this is actually fun, this is worth continuing with? Is it just at the point where people are wanting to play it? Is it?
Yeah. So I tend to rush to have a prototype that I can put on the table. And then when I do put it on the table, people, I judge people's reaction a lot. And in the case of soaps, the reaction was often very positive because the game is very silly, and often the combinatorics of the game turn out to be generate a lot of strange plots.
Yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes and things going on here. For sure, like, okay, the religious person can't have a wedding or be married.
Right, but
it can have two wives.
Great for affairs and getting people pregnant and so on.
And we can see a little bit of the evolution of the artwork, I guess.
Yes.
So we were going to talk a little bit about your games group and what made it a very good environment.
So my neighbors who it's not safe to hang out with right now, but as soon as the pandemic is over, then I assume that I'll be able to invite people over. They so all of them are also very patient. They're willing to play not complete alpha games, but when the games are a bit more polished, they're willing to look at the not quite finished games.
Sure, that definitely seems like a vital part of any test group.
Yeah. But in addition, we love to play, Carcassonne and Pandemic and various published games. Although even with published games, I tend to develop house rules and change the game a little bit, to make it a little bit more, generally more strategic and simpler. Those are generally the two directions I go for. I always prefer simpler, and more strategic is a good thing.
And whoops. Sorry, I had a little glitch there.
No problem.
Yeah, fundamentally, we've brought up Green Skull already. It's this abstracts game which is being done by Nestor Games. And Nestor Games works on a print-on-demand format with things in these lovely tubes with mouse mat style material. I've got a couple of their games and they're just lovely to have in a collection.
Yes.
Now, you wanted to talk about your desire for it to be very popular. Like, do you think this is like your main reason for making games? Just your desire to have something that reaches lots of people?
So my fantasy has always been to have a lot of material wealth. I would love to see Green Skull go the direction of Chinese checkers or what's the what I forget the European name for that. Stern something, yeah. Anyway, but I would love Green Skull to become very popular, like I said.
I mean, it feels like, it's just always, that is an innate desire in the majority of people. I mean, why do you think you make games? If you could summarize your reason for doing everything that you do, what drives you? Is it intellectual curiosity?
It's more to do with sharing and it's something I enjoy. It's experience I enjoy, and so I'm sharing an experience I enjoy with other people. And the intellectual pursuit is mostly second for me. I did not have real thinky games. I did not design games that are they make your head hurt. I did not like those kinds of games either.
I mean, I just want to say, looking back at Pat, I really like, how you managed to get a non-binary character into a game which seems to be all about sexual and romantic, I guess, relationships.
Yes, sexual and romantic relationships are a very important part of that game. I've actually been criticized from both sides about it. I've met conservative religious people who don't like the gay characters and so on, and then also I've met people who are not whose sexual expression is non-traditional, and those people don't necessarily approve. Or in one case, this one person did not like how I was dealing with the non-traditional sexuality of these characters. I don't know. She didn't have any idea about what she would rather, though.
And Alan is appreciating the fact that Alan cannot be married. Sorry, cannot be involved in
have an affair. Alan can't have an affair.
Yeah, some Alan love for Alan, even though it's spelt a slightly different way. Now, so I hope, just in case I can't have you on again, I mean, it would be lovely to have you on again at some points in the future after rankings have been determined, to talk about your thing for this year, for the LDEC design competition in a few months, or maybe in January or whenever. But can I ask you, what motivated you? Because I think in Board Game Geek, I announced this competition. I think it was you who said, "Hey, how many entries are we allowed to submit?" And then I was like, "Huh, I hadn't even thought about that." Well, you know what? Let's make it free. If you really want to do free, then talk to me. Yeah.
So I'm very creative. I'm very creative. Like I said, I'm very good at coming up with lots of ideas. And the pitch project. There are 7 games that I'm thinking about submitting to that. I'm not sure that all of them will be done, but I'm thinking about doing that maybe up to 7 times.
And I'm not going to say whether Danny was a contestant for 2020 explicitly, and I certainly will not say which game might have or was not Danny's, because for reasons of fair judging, anything that's still in the contest is being anonymized. But I'm trying to remember which games you submitted last year and the year before, because I think you've submitted every single year for this contest.
2019, I missed 2019. 2018, I definitely submitted a couple.
Oh yes, that's true.
The 2020, I basically wasn't paying attention at the beginning of the pandemic much, and I sort of got the I was reminded at the last minute. Oh yeah, you should look about this contest. So I designed a game at the last minute to enter.
So if someone else, I mean, obviously over the years we're kind of changing the format, and this year there's definitely some challenges. I said to someone actually just this morning that even testing with 4 people is a challenge. Like, you know, last year I would have said, okay, testing with 10 people is a challenge, but I can go to Royal Festival Hall any week, and if I couldn't test with 5 people every single week, because then I'd be taking more than my fair share. But sure, I could test with 5 people every other week, no bother. And that wouldn't be an issue. I could test with probably 6 people every other week, frankly, the way it goes most times. And then in between be like, okay, well, I'll test maybe a 2-player game, or maybe I'll just not play things and kind of make up my time, if you know what I mean. And
there's other people's games so that you get,
because if there's like 3 slots every day, then you go for 2 days, and then you've kind of tested 5 other people's things, then it makes sense. Like the 6th time you get like 5 people testing your thing. Like, as a rule of thumb, that's the way that it should kind of work. And kind of say that, if you're doing extra work, like being there bang on 10 a.m. or organizing stuff, then you should get a little bit extra, but not too much, if you know what I mean. And you want to keep it fairly equitable.
The particular area I'm in, Seattle is the home for Wizard of the Coast, which you might have heard. It's part of Hasbro now, but it's where there's a lot of sort of creative energy and a lot of creativity in this area.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards is pretty well renowned for anyone who's into board games.
Right. So even not with that company, just the people around here definitely have a high value of creativity.
Yeah, and I hear that Emma Larkins is there, is that right? And
yes, I know her.
And so I feel like this is feels like a reasonable point to start wrapping up. It's been really nice sort of meeting you. I mean,
Thank you.
I know IRL, it basically means physically. But what it is I've got the chance to now see your face, because for so long I'd only seen this caricature of you, and just like, who is this Danny Goodisman person? Because I've seen the character, but I hadn't seen any photos until like about a month ago. And then now Ferdy, it feels like we've gotten a nice chat, and so that's really my favorite things about these shows. And I guess Xate has to go, so I'm going to bid adieu to Xate. Recap, wrap up, thank yous. So we talked about we talked about walls, we talked about cell sheets, talked about all but published. I will flash that up again. We talked about copying games, about starting off by writing the rules, showing it off to your housemate, then getting people who are willing to accept that games are going to be a bit rubbish now, but might be better later on. We talked a little about Green Skull, which started off in this format, and now it looks something more like that. We, talked about, we didn't really delve into any of these things too deeply, but we talked about the representation and everything. We talked about the print-on-demand method, whether it's Game Crafter or Nestor games. We talked about and just entering contests and having fun doing it. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, so actually just today I asked in this pitch project, I asked, do the cell sheets, you're listing the components, do you want to list the rule book? Because all games have rules. Does that go without saying, or do you have to say, my game has a rule book? And since it basically goes without saying that you don't list the rules. You also don't list the box. Although a very few games actually the box is a component. So like Niagara or Raw or something, they might have said something about the box. And there's the game with the snails, where the snails are, where you set the box on the table and the snails are crawling up the box. Anyway.
That's a good point, because, Nestor Games doesn't have a box. Nestor Games has like this cloth tube with a zipper.
Right. It's
Let me make it big so people can see this better. And so, if you want to show off the zipper and stuff. Yep, that's good. And so, this is, and some Kickstarters, I know that they've actually sent stuff just in an envelope, so you can't take the box totally for granted. So in a lot of ways, but that's a publisher decision rather than a designer decision.
Well, the whole point of a cell sheet is you give the publisher all the information they need to make a decision, and then they'll make a decision.
For sure. And so, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching. Thank you, Xate, Alan Outson, Alex, Jess, Jeroen, Chris, was it Stephanie? I had someone pop in from, Suzanne Gray from YouTube. Thank you for that. And thank you very much, Danny, for joining me at this terrible hour for you.
Well, in the sense that the world is very small, but I mean, in other sense, it's as big as it ever was. But
now, I want to say, if people want to find me, stuffbybez.com is my main website. Stuffbybez.bigcartel.com is where you can buy my stuff. Twitter.com/stuffbybez, I tweet a lot. Instagram.com/stuffbybez, I share pictures of games I made, games I'm playing, or pretty things around in the world. Twitch.tv/stuffbybez for my streaming. Facebook.com/thingsbybez is a thing. And stuffbybez@gmail.com if you wish to get in touch for any reason. Now, if people wish to get in touch with you, Danny, there are the links on the comments of Facebook and YouTube, and I'm just posting in the links which are now in the Twitch chat. So if you want to go over them.
So I use Facebook a huge amount. I'm on Facebook pretty much all the time. And that would be a very good way to get in touch with me. I also respond to emails very quickly as well.
We've got nestorgames.com/#greenskull_detail if you want to look up that, or if you want to look up the Board Game Geek things for the game or for Danny Goodisman. And yeah, Jess is on a motorbike.
Thank you.
Now, as we wrap up, I wish to say to everyone, what are we looking forward to? Hopes and ambitions, it's over to you for this final section. Now, I want to invite everyone to share, what are you looking forward to after this show finishes? What are you going to do? Are you going to have something nice to eat later today? Are you going to play a game? Are you going to have a nice walk? Are you going to watch something? Have you got plans for later? I'm not going to say later this week because it's basically the end of the week, but you know, the weekend or next week or next month or whatever, feel free to share. And Alan Alton's asking about your Facebook page. Shall I just share your personal one, Danny?
Yeah, my personal one has my last name on it, and I haven't had any problems with that.
Okay, so I'm just sharing Danny's personal Facebook page in all the destinations, so you will see that there. So that is Danny's personal Facebook if you wish to hook up. So Alan is currently building a cupboard to fill up with rubbish that Alan should probably just throw away. I am today, what am I hoping to do? Oh yeah, I'm going to hopefully, in approximate order of priority, record the stuff for our Tabletop Gaming Live convention, have a chat with Jason. There was something else. Oh yeah, set up a bunch of streams, BitCall for the week ahead, and yeah, something about Ellie Dix's thing for the Christmas Cracker games. I'm going to write a special thing for Ellie Dix's thing, because there's like going to be a little booklet of, I've heard 16 different design things. It's not really aimed at designers. It's aimed at families who just don't know, what's all this designing all about? So that's going to be hopefully a fun thing. And then this weekend, if I manage to get all that done, then I'm going to hopefully take it relatively easy this weekend, and I'm going to be doing a lot of walking around and reading of actual books, which I'm very much looking forward to. And potentially playing some more L games with parents.
Nice.
Yourself, what are you looking forward to, Danny?
So I'm meeting, as you can imagine, the quarantine has been terrible for restaurants because you can't do anything. So I'm meeting with a couple of friends at a restaurant, and there's a local restaurant that has outdoor tables. So I'm meeting them on Sunday to talk about various games. and in order for it could be really good. But that's on Sunday afternoon. So you mentioned walking. I also take a walk around my condo every day. So I definitely look forward to doing that. And it's for a while it was not as nice because of the smoky air, but it's getting better.
Mm.
Go on.
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Jess says that they've really enjoyed your talk and hopes that you are able to come on again at some point.
Thank you.
And Alex says they've just realized they have 13 days to do 15 illustrations and all the graphic design for their card game. I assume this is for All Bots Published, the pitch project. And Alex is hoping that they can manage it. So I hope everyone has stuff they can look forward to or hope for. And in this section, I was kind of putting raid in brackets and question mark, because this is a new thing that I found out about last week. And if people would like on Twitch would like to raid things, then let me know. None of the people that I know are actually doing anything, so I don't have. Okay, so Sate says no thanks. So there we go. I don't have anyone to recommend today. I mean, there is apparently some Penny Arcade Expo. So Alan Alton asks, what's his raid exactly? That basically means that I kind of link to say, hey, oh yeah, it takes us to another channel to show off other channels. Yes, we all go in a gang. And hello, I know this person. Hello, it's lovely to see you. This is it's like the game about the finding the creature and then you can't find the cryptid. That's the one, cryptid. Yeah, so is that the name of the game? Is it Cryptid? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
There is a game called Cryptid. I don't know whether that's what you're talking about. I haven't played. I have not played Cryptid.
Oh, yep, it is Cryptid. So this is one of the two designers of Cryptid, and so yeah, it's lovely to see you. And we hung out at that one time in that city. I think it was Norwich. I think that was the name of the city. Anyway, some city. It was a small city somewhere. I think it was Norwich. I can't remember. But
right.
I just want to say, please share and spread the word. And if you want to find out more about the streams that I'm doing, go to stuffbybez.com/streams. So if you look here, stuffbybez.com/streams, and then you press enter. What? Oh, it didn't work there. Oh, because I've got the space. Darn. Stuffbybez.com/streams, and then it will redirect you to the calendar of things where I've got Love and Business tomorrow with Emily Shaw talking about business with your romantic partner. Javier is going to talk about localization on Sunday. Monday, legality and ethics of online gaming with Mark Harris, then design chat, tiebreakers. Anyway, all of these things that are going to be coming up. And yeah, we've got like quite a thing for the next couple of weeks. And that is that. And there is only one thing left to do. Oh, and apparently Norwich is the little city that I was thinking of. So do you have anything left to say before we say bye-bye?
I do not.
In that case, there's only one thing left to do, and that is to say bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, bye. bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you.